Amy Thurman back again with 100 Days, 100 Emotions. Today we're on day 30 and we're going to talk about desperation. If you would like to be involved in this series, I would love to have you. I would love to get you plugged in. Please just comment or reach out to me through a message, and I would love to share the emotions that are left and figure out one that works for you. I have loved getting to know people and hear their stories and seeing what other people are learning and our emotions are teaching other people as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I have loved it so much. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it. And so I hope you're finding it helpful. If you do find it helpful, please share it. Share it with others. If you think other people will benefit from it, please let them know, tag them below so that they can find it too. Okay, so I am going to bring in our guest today. This is Melissa, my friend Melissa. Melissa, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
Of course. I am so glad that you're here. I tell you what, Melissa and I, it's funny how things happen. And I'm not a believer of things just happening. I know they happen for a reason. But a mutual friend saw what I was doing, saw what Melissa was doing, and said, "You two need to know each other." And so she introduced us, and it's like, oh my goodness, like we resonate so deeply on so many levels. It's so wild. I can't wait for y'all to hear from Melissa because, so good. So much. She's doing so many good things. And so I'm excited for you all to hear from her. Before we jump into that, I like to start with our just a piece of text that I bring up on the screen to help springboard us and to help those of you who like to see it in words to kind of go from there. And so we're talking about desperation today. And this says that it can often be overwhelming and accompanied by feelings of hopelessness, urgency, and a strong desire to change a difficult situation, causing us to believe our circumstances cannot improve. And I have felt this, oh my goodness, so many times. I know this is something that probably a lot of us feel. It's not something we like to feel, it's an uncomfortable feeling. And so I want to bring awareness to it today. Not only that, is it normal for us to feel this way? It's part of being human. But we can also learn from it too. So I would love to know what you have to share with us today, Melissa, about your experience with desperation.
Wow, that's a big one. It's a
Yeah.
really big one. Um, I would say it's an emotion that I don't feel like maybe weekly or monthly, but I definitely have had really heavy times when I felt it, and sometimes for an extended period of time. Um, and I love looking up the meaning of words,
Me
and
too.
so desperation is having no hope. So it made me think about the times that I have felt that there was no hope in some particular situations, and it takes you to the depths, I think. Um, and maybe the two things that I can think of that have been really desperate have have been in relation to people that I know and that I love. And one in particular that I can think of, I have felt so much desperation in helping somebody that I love who is feeling despair, like
Mm.
on a consistent basis. And that's reflected in their life. They don't really feel like that there's a lot to do for them or to hope for them. And because it's somebody that's close to me, it's just like a couple nights ago, I was just up all night just crying. What can I do? Tell me something that I can do to help them. And I think a lot of times when we are in desperate straits, when we're feeling no hope, a lot of times it's because there's something that we wish we can control, or we wish we're looking towards a certain outcome and we're not seeing that.
Our expectations. Yes.
Mhm. Expectations, or just wanting to change something that's not in our control as much as we wish it could be.
Right.
um, but not having that outcome that we want, those expectations not met is really hard.
It
It's
is. Yes.
it's
Yes.
so hard.
It,
So,
it
yeah, go ahead.
no, it really is, and it takes a mind shift to get around that. I mean, I'm thinking about times in my life when I've felt desperate. Um, and I feel like there are different levels of it. Like I have, of course, the desperation I felt when I was laying in the bed for 23 hours a day for almost a year. Like nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. I just didn't see a way out. Like none of the doctors could figure anything out. They just didn't know. And so that's a deep level of desperation. But I have
Mm,
also felt a sense of desperation in my business. Like I have this, not a quota, but I have this goal that I want to reach and I'm not reaching it. I feel desperate. Like I've got to figure out a way to do something to reach this goal that I've set for myself. And so I feel like that's a different level of desperation. And
mhm.
so, do you see that in your life too?
Yes. Business can bring that out in you, like most of the major things in our life, I guess, where we have expectations can bring some desperation out in different levels for sure. And you don't
Yeah.
want that energy around you don't want that energy in your relationships to be underlying that you're desperate for your hopes for somebody. You don't want that in your business because you don't want people to feel like, "Oh my gosh, they're desperate," instead of they really wanna help me kind of thing. So, yeah, it's something that really makes you sit up and go, "Okay, I need to take care of this."
Right. And people can sense that. Like I know when I'm feeling that desperation or that desperate feeling in my business and I'm really trying to push things, like people can feel that. People know when you're coming at something from a sense of desperation instead of a sense of peace and calm at whatever happens here, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Or the desperation of I've got to control this. Like you said, I've got to control the outcome. I have to have reach this goal, which I'm very goal oriented and goal driven. And so I have to watch myself in that. But as you know, emotions are contagious. And so whatever we're coming at it with, that's what's going to be received on the other end. And
Mm,
so I think we really have to be cognizant of when we're feeling that. I say this all the time. We have to recognize what is happening in our bodies, recognize that feeling and take a step to, is that the way I want to feel right now? If it's not, then we need to change that, change our thinking or change something to change that emotion and that feeling.
mhm.
Um,
Well, I
and
have
it
a
brings,
question for you.
yeah, go ahead.
So, feelings are in our bodies, and I love to make sure that we practice like recognizing it. So, where exactly do you feel desperation when you sit and think about feeling desperate? Like, what are you experiencing in your body?
It sits in my throat.
Yeah.
Desperation sits in my throat. I can feel it. It's almost like a tightening, like I have so much to say or so much to do. And it's interesting that you asked that because different emotions do feel different in different parts of your body. But when I think of feeling desperate, it's like in my throat, like it's a clenching in there. Um, and now my brain is worrying, like, I want to really study this. I want to pay more attention to this.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's that's something that I concentrate on in my this game I created, and I think we'll talk about that later. But just really noticing where we feel emotions helps us recognize it the next time it comes around, and so that's something I really want to teach kids for sure because they're or even adults like me who grew up not understanding that. So when
yeah,
I think of where I feel desperation, it's like a contracting feeling, and it's like I stop breathing.
yeah,
And it's like a really sinking feeling, like, it's also connected to, like, this pit in my stomach.
yeah. It is definitely contracting feeling, like it's like me with that choking. It's definitely, um
Yeah.
oh, man, I would love for you to talk about that more. If you wanna go ahead and share your game and how you deal with that in the game, yeah, go ahead and just share what you have created, because I want everyone to know about this game that you have created, because it's so helpful for adults and especially children. Like, if you are an educator and you're watching this, this is perfect to incorporate into your classroom, or as a parent to incorporate with your children. And so, yeah, go ahead, just go with that, Melissa. Tell us about it.
All right. So I invented a game that teaches a whole lot of emotional intelligence because I did not grow up um, being very emotionally intelligent. I grew up in a sort of an abusive situation. And so I didn't really get in touch with my own emotions because I was worried about keeping myself safe with everybody else's emotions. And as I was approaching parenthood, I knew that I did not want to um, carry these chains and pass them on to my kids of not knowing what to do with my emotions. So I studied it a lot over the last couple decades, and I came up with this game, and it's super fun and super crazy. Get ready. It's
Yeah.
called Emotion Commotion, and you have an action card and an emotion card, and you do the action. Like this one says, make the sound of a lion, and you might have to make it impatient. So, how
Oh.
would you make an impatient lion sound?
Oh, wow. Like, roar, roar, kind of like that, just
Mhm.
short, short.
Yeah, like roar, roar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So so you have an action and emotion and somebody acts it out and then the rest of the people have to guess. So as you're guessing, you're throwing out all these synonyms. So you're expanding your emotional vocabulary because people might guess mad or frustrated or confused, and so you're getting all of these words that help you expand your emotional vocabulary. Super important so that
Oh,
we can
yeah.
pinpoint what we feel exactly to get the right message. So we're going to talk about that, I know, pretty soon. Going back to Desperation. So don't let's forget that because that's super awesome. Um, but then as you play this game, you also get to watch people's body language, listen to their tone of voice, and develop empathy because you realize your anger might not look anything like my anger. Mine might be really loud and frustrated, and some people's anger is really controlled and cold or calm or who knows. So we all have different ways of sharing our emotions. And as we play the game, we realize, maybe I'm not understanding people like I think I am because it doesn't always look like what my emotions feel like. And so it makes you want to communicate better, ask questions. I think you're feeling impatient in this situation, but I don't know. Is that right? Instead of being like, oh, they're impatient, so I'm going to react like this, right? We just want better understanding, better connection. And I love that as we play, we're practicing the beginnings of emotional regulation because we are identifying an emotion, we're allowing ourselves to feel it without judging it, which in real life, so many of us judge our emotions and we're like, I don't want to feel that, especially in front of so and so or, whatever. And so we will shove them down. And that's not good for our health mentally or physically to shove our emotions down. So I like that as we play, we're getting that energy from the emotion out. So as I might be pretending that I'm bowling and I'm sad, I'm just allowing myself to show and feel that. And that's really a good practice for us is to just learn to show our emotions. Like kids, they show their emotions, they get that energy out, and then they're over it. Not
Right.
so with us adults, right? We bring all the past
Exactly.
times we've been impatient or all the,
Yes.
worry to things, right? So,
I
um,
can I can see where this would also be. Not only is it helping them express that, but it's also teaching them what the emotions feel like to them,
yeah,
because, like, when you put up that card impatient, if somebody doesn't know what impatient feels like, they may be frozen, like, I don't know what that feels like. I don't know how to express that. It
Mhm.
can open up an avenue for a conversation of, I don't know what that is. Like, what is that? How does that feel? And
Absolutely.
go down a whole nother avenue. So I can see this working also with therapists,
Mhm.
helping their clients learn to work through their emotions as well. And so many things you said are things that I say all the time. That's why I said you and I are like resonating on so many levels. It's so, so good. Oh,
Yeah.
and I love that you did this, because especially with children,
Mhm.
like you said, we hold up the little faces and we say, this is what happy looks like, this is what sad looks like, this is what angry looks like. But it doesn't look like that for every person. And
Mhm.
so being able to express it through the game the way it feels to them, I think is so valuable. Oh, so many good things here. Goodness gracious. Okay,
Mhm.
so at the end we'll tell you how to get that game, because I know you're probably like, okay, how do I get it now, where do I
Mhm.
go? So we'll share that with you at the end. But going back to desperation, talking about desperation, I want to talk about this too for just a second. That not only can it feel hopeless and helpless and take us into a deep, dark place, but if you have watched these before, you know my purpose is in helping us realize how we can learn from our emotions, that they're there to teach us something. And so the emotion desperation, it can also push us to find creative and resourceful solutions to our problems. It can spark our solving ability and encourage us to think outside the box. I'm thinking about, like, with my business, when I have felt that desperate feeling of, oh, I really want to meet this goal, and I'm just feeling desperate, then I have had to think outside the box. Like, what have I not tried yet? What can I do that I haven't done before to maybe try to reach this goal? Or like when I was laying in that bed, so desperate for something to change, I changed what I was thinking. That's when I started learning about how emotions affect our bodies and how thoughts affect our bodies. Was I started changing how I was thinking, and that made all the world of difference. But I'm sure you have seen this in your life too, where how desperation can actually be a teacher for you.
Absolutely. When I was talking about, like, emotional regulation where we recognize our emotions and we get those energy out, like, the next steps is, what message does my emotion have for me in this particular situation? So, like you said, like, I can't even begin to imagine what you experienced for a year when you couldn't move. Um, and it reminds me of, this practice I have of looking at what I can control versus what I can't control. And like you said, you could control what you're thinking, right? We can control how we react. A lot of times when we're feeling that no hope, one of the things we can look at is, well, what do I have control over that I can change versus, do I want somebody else to change or the situation to change or things, that we have no control over. When our mind's spinning around that part of the circle, then we're stuck and we're feeling hopeless and a bunch of other emotions. But when we concentrate on, well, the only thing I can do right now is think or try something different or try something new, then that can bring us the more hopeful, powerful feelings and get, snap us out of that. But also, like, I love that desperation makes us think about, what am I trusting or hoping in?
Mm.
Because we can go along and just think we're doing fine and that we're in control of the situation and we realize we're really not. And so
Yeah.
are we trusting in the armor of our own flesh? Are we trusting in the armor of somebody else's flesh? Like, who do we trust in? What do we trust in? Like, um, we have to be really intentional, I think, every day in the goals that we're looking for in business or in our relationships with people and really figure that out because a lot of times we are going to be let down if we're trusting in ourselves. We're not perfect. Same with other people, same with stuff. Things break or, you know, So who that really makes me think about who can I put my hope in? Who can I trust? What can I trust in this situation? Because that can shift my whole outlook on moving forward when I recognize, wow, I'm really trusting in just what I can see right now, and I could get an expert to help me, or I could trust my source to help me, you know.
Yes. Oh, it's so you've said so many good things. I would love to hit on all of them, but like it's so much easier for us to wish that someone else would change or to try to put it off on someone else. Like, I'm
Mhm,
feeling desperate because of this person or because of this situation or because of this circumstance. And it's harder, much harder for us to look, to do that introspection, to polish the mirror and see inside, like, you know what? I have a role to play in this. Like, it's not all about everyone and everything else outside. It's I can make a change, but it has to start from within. It
mhm,
has to start with us recognizing what's going on and being willing to make a change, and that's harder than it is to just put it off on someone else. So I think we don't do that because it's hard work. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And so I think that gets overlooked a lot for that reason.
mhm. And I think, um, one thing that can be included is a lot of times we think we know the how, and the how really isn't any of our business. Just take one step at a time, listen to our intuition, take one step at a time, because I think when we get lost in the how, that's when we can also get kind of hopeless and desperate because we don't know everything.
That's so good. I'm just thinking of this situation right here, like this whole series that I'm doing. When the idea came to me, because it wasn't something I sat down and tried to figure out, oh, this is what I want to do. I have these just inspired ideas that just instantly come to me. And I feel like they're sent to me for a reason, that to be responsible for them. Um, and it was like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this. I have no idea how. First of all, my body is unreliable. How am I going to do 100 days worth of anything? And then all the questions start coming. But it's just, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Whatever happens, happens. However it goes, it's gonna go. If I have to miss a day, I miss a day. But I'm
Mhm,
just gonna do what I can on my end and allow the rest of it to be what it's gonna be, and let go of the outcome, because whatever's supposed to happen is gonna happen. I just have to be willing to do what I can and allow it to be what it's gonna be. And so that's so beautiful. Oh, I love that. For those of you who are watching, I would love for you to join our conversation and hop in here with your response to today's question. Have you ever considered desperation to be a gift? Like, we don't think of it that way. When we think of desperation, we don't think of it being a gift. But I want to flip that around for you. I want you to flip that around in your mind and think, has it ever been a gift? Has it ever forced you to think outside the box? Has it ever forced you to do something you wouldn't have done otherwise that led to something amazing? And so I really would love to know your thoughts on that. If you would put those in the comments, I will get back with those, and I'd love to continue the conversation with you in that way. Um, I want to go ahead and pull up our image. I have an AI image generator that I asked to create an image that represents the emotion of the day. And so it's really interesting what it comes up with. It's pretty accurate. Like, when I initially see it, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely the emotion. Other times, like the one today, I'm like, I really have to search for it, but can always find something that, yeah, it's pretty accurate. So let me pop this up and then I'll full screen it and we'll take a look at this. This is what it gave me for Desperation. Um, it's so interesting. Like, there are so many aspects of this. The one that jumps out at me, excuse me, is right in the middle. It almost looks like it's split. Like, it's not completely split because it doesn't go all the way up and down, but it's like it's cracking. That's what I see there, is like it's starting to crack in the middle. What do you pull out of this, Melissa?
Well, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, right? Yes.
I think it's
And
a hot mess. It's chaos.
yep, that too.
And like just looking at like the black strands in the middle that are coming down, like I don't know, it just gives me that feeling of like reaching up in despair, like please help me, please pull me out of this because I'm sinking, you
Oh,
know?
that's good. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. It really is. That's what I'm saying. Like these images are so fascinating to me because, if we had longer, we could really sit with it and pull other things out.
Mhm.
Um, and the reason I do these is because it gives us a whole different aspect. Like you just said, the reaching up, looking for help, for someone to help. That's not something we came up with or that we talked about earlier. And so
Mhm.
these images can help us see, a totally different picture of what it is. And exactly what you said, it's beautiful. Desperation can be a beautiful thing. It can lead to beautiful things, if we will allow it to. So, man, I love these. Oh, so
And
good.
and it to me it has like this energy of like pulling down, but it also can be the opposite, the energy of like lifting up.
Yeah, yeah, because it can include both. I think, and like I think you were the one who said to me that emotions are not good or bad; they're either comfortable or uncomfortable. Did you say that to me?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, I have repeated that because that's so good. I love that so much, and it can apply to any emotion.
Mhm.
Like any of them can fall into that category. So, for those of you watching, I would love to know what you think, what your take is on this image, what you pull out that represents desperation in there, to help us see another perspective of that as well. Oh my goodness, this has been so, so good. Melissa, I have loved having you on here and your perspective. And like I said, we resonate on so many levels. I can't wait for people to get your game and to learn more about you and your speaking engagements and all the difference that you're making in the world. Please share with people if there's anything else you would like to share about what you do, and how they can get a hold of you.
Well, I would like to share a free gift to anybody who's watching this. I know that as I was growing up, I didn't know what to do with my anger from the abusive situation I grew up in. And so I stifled it for many years. And it would erupt as a teenager, and I wouldn't know what to do with it, right? So I love sharing tools that help us get the energy of emotions out so that we can get to the point where we can look for the message. Because just like a little kid, when they're like stomping around and they're so frustrated, to say, stop and let's think about this, they're like, no. And we're the
Right?
same way. We need to get that energy out and then go look at it. And I spent years just going straight to the logic and ignoring how I felt and not letting that energy out. So
Mm.
I love sharing tools. So I have 3 free emotional tools that you can use with your kids. I would say you could use most of these tools with kids as young as 5 or 6 to like adults. So I do this at retreats, corporate retreats, because they're just ways to help us either build up the energy and the emotions that we want, or they're ways to allow our emotions that we're not comfortable with out in good and healthy ways. So if they want to go to my emotioncommotiongame.com website, at the very top there's a green banner, and it will let me know that you want those emotional tools for free. And that is also where you can purchase my game if you're interested. And I love playing with people's emotions. It sounds terrible, but it's such a good, healthy thing when you do it in the right way. And my game is it's fun, it's super goofy, but boy, does it connect you to the people you're playing with. It gives you a chance to be tiny bit vulnerable with your emotions in a safe space because you're just playing a game. And that vulnerability that we allow brings us connection. So, so important. And I also, um, what else was I going to say about that? Um, I don't know, it's just fun, and I found, like you said, teachers and therapists love it. In fact, as a teacher, I have introduced it to my class, and then they beg to play it every single time I'm with them. I was teaching a weekly class, and so I would use it as a reward. It's a fantastic reward.
Great
So
idea.
we get through the rest of our lesson, then yes, we'll play my game for 5 or 10 minutes. But you can play it for 2 hours too. So you can play 5 minutes, 2 hours. It's like stretchy, and there's just a whole lot of learning involved that's just fun, a fun way to learn.
Oh, I love it so, so much, and it's so to me, I'm sitting here thinking, like, this is such a safe place for boys especially. Like, I was
Mhm.
speaking with someone, a man last night about how, men and emotions and the societal norms do not promote that or encourage that. And so if we can start when they're boys like this, with this game of simply playing this game, helping them learn what their feelings feel like and how to express them in safe, healthy ways. Oh, how that can change the world. I'm literally thinking this can be life changing for so many people.
It is. Can
So
I share do I have a minute to share a
go right
story?
ahead. Absolutely.
All right. So I was playing with a bunch of 20-something kids on the first day of 2020, at a party at my house, and we played this game for about an hour and a half, and we got to my all play card, which I think is just figuring out where you feel an emotion in your body and then sharing. And everybody takes a second to think about that and share. Well, like we did, where do we feel desperation in our body? And after we went all the way around and did that, one of the boys said, "So, hey guys, what emotion do you hate the most and why?" And
Mm.
everybody answered that question. We just went around in the circle and answered it for another hour. And it was mind blowing. So I love that this game offers opportunities, if we want to take them, to really think about our emotions, to discuss them. Like, it was a beautiful opportunity for connection and for understanding one another and not feeling alone.
Yeah.
When we're feeling super desperate and broken or whatever it is that we're feeling, we can feel so alone. And just being able to play
Yeah.
this game and watch other people show their emotions and realize we all feel all of these emotions, and it's perfectly okay, and it's good
Yeah.
to share them.
Absolutely. A friend text messaged me the other day and she said, "This series you're doing makes me feel normal." And my heart just burst wide open. And
Yeah.
that's what I feel like the story you just shared is exactly that. It normalizes that this is okay. This is how everyone is. We just aren't encouraged to share it. And so helping kids and adults feel normal is so, so powerful. And so I'm so, so grateful to you for taking the time to spend with us here, to share your story, to share your game with us. And again, I'm so thankful that you chose to come share with us. So thank you so much for being here, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Amy. I love this kind of stuff. I love what you're doing. Keep it up.
Oh, thank you. Oh, like I said, oh, you and we could talk for hours about this stuff, literally go on and on about it. So good.
It's true.
Okay, if you're watching, be sure to answer the question of the day, get in on the conversation. If you would like more information about Melissa's game or about her and what she does, feel free to go to her website, purchase the game there, take advantage of her free tool, and you can connect with her in that way. If this has been helpful for you or you think it will be helpful for other people, please share it. We need to get the information about this game out there. Like, everybody can use this game. I'm getting one for me and Will. He's 13. We're going to be playing this game. So I'm so excited for that. All right. Until tomorrow. First of all, if you would like to see the rest of these, then go to hashtag 100 days, 100 emotions. That's the number 100. It's streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I will be back tomorrow with another emotion. Bye.